Let me say this clearly. Most people think they're leading, but they're actually just managing transactions. And the difference is why teams disengage, cultures stall, and high performers quietly burn out. Leadership is not about control. It's not about authority, and it's definitely not about being the smartest person in the room. There are two types of leaders: transactional leaders and transformative leaders. One gets compliance, the other creates commitment. And the gap between the two is everything. So what transactional leadership is built on is exchange. You do this and you get that. You hit the goal and you get the bonus. You miss the target, well, there's a consequence. Now let me be clear. Again, transactional leadership is not bad, it's necessary. We do need it for things like structure, for accountability, for clear expectations to be communicated, and operational execution. The problem is when leaders stop there. Transactional leadership answers the question, what do I need from you today? But it never answers the deeper question, who are you becoming while doing this work? And that's where disengagement begins. There are limits to transactional leadership. Here's what transactional leadership does well. It gets short-term results. It does maintain order and uniformity. It keeps things moving, but here's what it cannot do. It cannot inspire discretionary effort. It cannot build loyalty, and it cannot unlock innovation, and it cannot sustain long-term performance. Because people will only give you what transactions require, nothing more. They'll do the job, but they won't bring their best thinking. They won't challenge the status quo. They won't take ownership when it's hard, and they'll just comply. But they won't commit. Now, what transformative leadership actually is that it's operating at a different level. It's not about control, it's about elevation. And transformative leaders don't just manage the outcomes, they shape identity. They don't ask, what do I need from you? They ask, who can you become here? Transformative leadership creates meaning, not just metrics. It connects the work to purpose, the role to growing, the individual to something bigger than themselves, which is the core essence of employee engagement. And when people feel that, performance becomes personal now for them. Transactional leaders focus on the behavior, and you'll hear that often. Transformative leaders focus on the belief. Behavior changes when someone is watching only, but belief changes how someone shows up when no one else is around. Transformative leaders, they invest in things like trust, psychological safety, emotional intelligence, long-term development. They understand that people don't resist change, they resist the change without being understood. That's why transformative leadership creates cultures for people who don't want to leave. So why do most leaders stay transactional? Well, here's the uncomfortable truth. Most leaders stay transactional because it feels safer. Transformative leadership requires self-awareness, emotional regulation, the ability to influence without forcing, the willingness to listen instead of dictate. And that is harder. It's easier to manage tasks than develop people. It's easier to look at the data instead of the people behind it. It's easier to enforce rules rather than build trust. It's easier to measure the output instead of growth. But ease isn't leadership. Impact is. So how do we shift? You don't abandon transactional leadership, you just elevate it. You still set expectations, you still hold accountability, you still drive results, but then you layer in transformation by asking better questions. Instead of what went wrong, maybe we could ask, what did we learn? Or instead of just get it done, maybe we could ask, what support do you need to do this at your best? Instead of follow the process. Can't tell you how many times I heard trust the process, right? Ask, how can we improve this process together? That's how trust is built. That's how ownership forms. So here's the question every leader should ask themselves. It's hard to be objective sometimes, but do people perform for you because they have to or because they want to? Transactional leadership will get you compliance, But transformative leadership will get you commitment. One maintains the systems, the other builds people. And in the long run, people are the system. If this resonated, it's because you're ready to lead at a higher level. And once you see the difference, you can't unsee it. I'm Dan with Rise Up For You.
The world does not need more managers. It needs transformational leadership. Leaders who inspire ownership, create clarity, and build cultures where people do their best work. At Rise Up For You, we coach and train leaders to move from command to commitment, from compliance to true engagement. So if you're ready to move from a transactional leader to a transformational leader, book a call below. We'd love to support you, learn more about your goals, and share with you how we are helping leaders around the world elevate their team, their performance, and their personal leadership skills. The call is completely free, and we'd be honored to learn and share more about how we can help you get to the next step as a leader, because the world needs you now more than ever.